Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. The waiting game is over. The speculation is over. Some of you guys are going to be celebrating here on a Monday afternoon. No longer can we sit here and say, well, Josh Heupel doesn't fire his buddies. Josh Heupel didn't fire a single assistant at Central Florida. Josh Heupel hasn't fired a coach at Tennessee because Tim Banks is officially out as the defensive coordinator at Tennessee. You can see it there on the screen on 3 tweets out. Breaking: Tennessee has fired defensive coordinator Tim Banks. VolQuest reports. Now, some of you are going to be happy. Some of you are going to kind of be indifferent. Some of you guys may be sad to see Tim Banks go, and I've talked at length about this, right? I think Tim Banks, his defense got better year in and year out, but 2025, it was a train wreck. It was a disaster, and we can point to reasons why. We can sit back and say, well, you were without your 2 starting corners. Book Carter didn't buy into this defense. You were beat up on the inside of the defensive line. All those reasons are accurate. All of that is realistic, but the bottom line is Tennessee, Josh Heupel is moving on. I think a lot of this, obviously 8-4 is not where you want to be. It's not. Getting your brains beat in by Vanderbilt is not where you want to be. I think there is a little bit of heat under the seat of Josh Heupel, and I think making this move is getting this fan base to buy back in. I think this is moving in the right direction. And again, I'm one that's never really been on the bandwagon of firing Tim Banks, but I told you guys, if I wake up tomorrow and Tim Banks is no longer the defensive coordinator, then I'm going to be excited to see where we go with this thing. Some of the names floating around: who do you want Tennessee to go get as a defensive coordinator? Jim Knowles is a name that pops up in the chat all the time. I made a video earlier this morning. Tim Banks looking at a possible head coaching job, but he was also mixed in the conversation at Virginia Tech. But it sounds like James Franklin, Virginia Tech, are going to go after Brent Pry, but I've seen his name floating around a lot. DJ Durkin is supposed to be staying at Auburn. Does he show interest? Is there an opportunity there? Jermod Mayo is a name that gets thrown out a lot, but I've seen Brent Hubbs put out just recently that he wants to stay in the NFL. Where does Josh Heupel go? We shall see, but let's go take a look at the article again. It became official. Tennessee and defensive coordinator Tim Banks are parting ways. It says here, Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel is in the market for a new defensive coordinator, as Tim Banks will not return after 5 seasons as the Vols defensive leader. Heupel and Banks have had meetings over the last couple of days, and the decision has been made to go separate ways. Banks arrived at Tennessee from Penn State, where he was a co-defensive coordinator but didn't call the defense. At Tennessee for the first 4 seasons, Banks was the defensive coordinator and safeties coach. In 2025, Banks didn't coach a specific position. I think that's interesting. That's something that was really not known throughout the course of the year until within the last few weeks it started coming out that Tim Banks wasn't even coaching the safeties this year. That was not something that was discussed. That was not something that was talked about. That was not something that was public knowledge until recently, but Tim Banks has coached the safeties up until that point, and the safeties have been a weakness of this defense. It just is what it is. It's been a weakness on the field. It's been a weakness in recruiting. We have not been able to go out and sign elite level talent at the safety position. I think it is a priority to go attack that position in the transfer portal once it opens up. But I think that's interesting to note there that Tim Banks did not coach the safeties in the 2025 season. Goes on to say in 2025, Tennessee's defense took a step back after the 2024 season, right? His first 4 seasons, Banks built his defense to an elite level. His 2024 season was his best as the defense finished in the top 25 in 9 different categories as the defense carried Tennessee to the college football playoff. I mean, you were top 10 in scoring defense, and that's why for me, when you talk about firing Tim Banks, you talk about moving on from Tim Banks, I was always kind of in that camp. Man, he trended in the right direction. This defense got better year in and year out. You had a top 10 defense in 2024. And then as you see there, you finished in the top 25 in 9 different categories last season. The Tim Banks defense is why we were in the college football playoff. It wasn't the offense. But then in 2025, the wheels fall off. The article says it took a step back. Vols finished 14th in the conference in scoring defense, giving up almost 29 points a game. They given up 1,760 yards rushing, which is the highest total since 2021. That's true for a lot of categories. That's true for a lot of statistics. You go look at this defense, they are worse in every single category than when Tim Banks took over in year 1. So I get it. I understand the same things that I've talked about with McCoy and with Gibson and with Book Carter. What's the excuse when you look back to 2021? This defense was better. Josh Heupel's had enough. Josh Heupel is moving on. It goes on to talk about the injuries here. Obviously, Jermod McCoy, Ricky Gibson, Damon Hobbs, Jackson Moy. So the question becomes now, where does Tennessee go moving ahead? Where does Tennessee go in the bowl game? And you can see here, Kaner has an article following up the news that Tim Banks has been fired. William Inge to be interim Tennessee defensive coordinator. Says he's made a change, parting ways with Tim Banks in the interim basis. Linebackers coach William Inge will take over coordinator responsibilities. He's expected to call defensive plays for Tennessee in the Music City Bowl in Nashville on December 30th when the Vols take on Illinois in Nissan Stadium. The question for me is, and we kind of thought this when Josh Heupel went out and hired William Inge because he was calling plays. He was a co-defensive coordinator before he came to Tennessee. Does William Inge get an opportunity? Does William Inge get a shot? Does William Inge get an interview to be the defensive coordinator at Tennessee? Does he get an interview to be the replacement for Tim Banks? It'll be interesting to see what direction Josh Heupel goes, but William Inge going to be the interim defensive coordinator, going to be calling plays coming up in the bowl game. Look, this is all fresh, real, raw, right as it happened. Tim Banks is on the way out. We're going to continue to monitor coaching boards. We'll let you guys know if there are interviews. We're going to follow it all right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. I'm going to put up the bat signal, see if the boys want to jump on. What do you guys think? You guys want to go live tonight and talk about this? We can do that. As always, smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. You can also help support the channel by hitting the join button down below. It's only $1. You get access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, all kinds of fun perks like fan call-in shows, different stuff like that. You can also support by joining our Patreon. The links in the description below to do that. You can join our EA Sports College Football Patreon Dynasty. You can join the game day chats. That's for football, basketball, baseball, or you can just say, Boogie, I dig the content. Here's a buck. Want to show you some support. But I wanted to get a quick instant reaction video out. Tim Banks has officially been fired. What are your thoughts? Let's talk about it in the comment section. But that's going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.